Hello everyone, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. My name is Sam Harkin, and we are going to be talking about Life is Strange 2, Episode 4. I keep getting tripped up by the fact that there's a 2, and there's another one. No. It's too many numbers. It annoys me. I guess that covers my intro. Anyway, so this is going to, involve some measure of spoilers, so I guess I'll say kind of from the jump. For those of you who don't want any spoilers, I just found this it was an interesting episode. I found it very somber and a bit heavy-handed, so I can't say it's my favorite episode, but I think I kind of warmed up to it a little bit, and yeah, if you don't want spoilers, we'll be heading into those in due time, not immediately, but yeah. But I think as I often overlook when it comes to these reviews, we're going to start off with talking about the presentation and gameplay, and once again, it's pretty much the standard. The graphics are really nice, the gameplay is pretty standard. I can't say I liked the presentation as much as I did in the previous episode, but it was just kind of, it's a different setting, I guess. The one thing though that I did find interesting is that, unlike, as far as I can remember, pretty much every episode in all season series of the Life is Strange franchise, there was only one licensed track. Usually there's 2 or 3, and we only had this one that was kind of the choral version of Meeting by Cascadeur, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, which I think kind of fits with the fact that it's pretty somber. They're not going to have friggin' DANCE. As I so eloquently put on Twitter, episode 3 is do the DANCE, and episode 4 is do the DEPRESSION. Yes, but speaking of previous episodes, so leading into this, the previous episode 3, which is Wastelands, was kind of warm and friendly. We had lots of new characters and lots of character interactions, which did kind of come to a bit of a dramatic ending, but it was really interesting comparing it to this episode, because episode 3 is arguably the happiest episode in the series so far, and this was really dark. So it starts off, and now we're heading into the episode 4 review. It starts off very somber, your character Sean, he can't think clearly, he's sick, he's headed to prison, he's separated from his brother. It's kind of this thing of it is almost the most trapped. I will definitely say, part of the reason that I found this episode so somber is because I kind of did feel a bit, they'd taken a lot of, I guess, general fears, but, definitely stuff that I personally, don't like. I don't like the idea of, being completely trapped by a situation, by bureaucracy and everything. And that's true of the entire season, I suppose, but this is where it kind of is there's no way to remedy this at all. Even the most supportive character, whose name escapes me at the moment, the African American doctor who is helping us at the start of the episode. Yes, I thought it was Joey, and I was right, but I didn't have enough confidence to just say Joey. Even Joey, who's kind of the most supportive person, is still kind of part of the system that's just you look all better, things are going to be great for you, but I'm also not going to help you escape the situation, you're going to prison. Which, is reasonable, but it is still kind of one of those things of it just kind of sucks. So Sean finds out that Daniel is with Jacob, and Jacob has gone back to Heaven's Gate. And you might recall Jacob talking about it in episode 3, when you're all around the campfire. And I did kind of like that, even though there weren't a lot of characters that carried over, there was still a lot of, themes and places that were common between the two. And it kind of, especially given that I didn't, I paid a little bit of attention to what was going on with Jacob in episode 3, but now it's a lot more prominent, a lot more in the center. So you escape and you go driving, and then you have kind of this kind of pseudo kind of levity kind of moment. Like, my issue with things that are too grimdark is that there's no levity, and if there's no humor and there's no happiness, like, why do we care about these characters if they're going to be just depressed the whole time? And we kind of get that, but it's like a dream sequence and it's really obvious, and it was kind of, especially playing it for the first time, I was like, oh, they're just like teasing me with how depressing this is, if they're going to like do this kind of thing where it's like, oh yes, it's really happy, JK. And then you immediately after, like, well, at least for my first run, I got like beat the hell up, which was just like, this is crazy, this is dark. And then you eventually get to Heaven's Gate and you find your brother, and then you get kicked out, and like literally you get kicked out, and when you get dropped on the ground, if you stand back up, you get punched in the face back down. It's like, wow, that's extreme. Admittedly, they have like a, like a big dramatic, this is a choice that you can make kind of thing. But it was just like, wait, really? Really? You're just gonna knock me the fuck out? Okay. And it kind of bugged me a little bit with the whole Heaven's Gate thing, because it reminded me a bit of Far Cry 5, and that it was kind of like a, anti-religion, oh, they're Christians, but it's a cult thing. And it's like, I don't know, it kind of, it bummed me out. But I think overall, like, even with it being that depressing, like the fact that the ending kind of felt like a bit of a triumph, I thought that was pretty good. But like overall, just doing the first pass, like it felt a bit heavy-handed, and there was a bit of tonal whiplash. But like I went at it again. I kind of took a little bit of time off. I was feeling burnt out when I was playing it the first time around for the Let's Play. So I think, just taking a little bit of a break and getting a bit more calm and being a bit more mentally balanced, shall we say, I think did kind of help me kind of pass through it a bit. And in truth, like even with, all that time and, feeling a bit, more mentally healthy, I still had issues. But I think in many ways, it kind of was like a really fitting episode. It was an episode that we probably needed. I mean, we got some proper development of, Sean's devotion to Daniel and that kind of relationship, especially in a season where that is the main crux of everything. Like, everything kind of revolves around that relationship between two people. I think it was a bit important to kind of reaffirm that. Also, we did have some characters carrying over a bit. I mean, you potentially see Finn in hospital, or Meryl, as I found out in the second run. We have Karen, who, while she has not been involved in the plot per se, it's kind of been one of those things where there's been like lots of little kind of references, in the second episode, we're staying at Karen's parents' place and we find her letter and such. And she's been alluded to quite a bit, so it's nice to kind of have her actually be in the plot now and potentially carrying over to the next episode. So I think, I guess Life is Strange 2, this season isn't supposed to be happy or anything. And I get that. It just, I think, doesn't do things as well as some of the previous episodes, in my opinion. It kind of overall feels like it's good for the plot. I noticed that there's lots of elements in the previous episode that I liked, like the fact that there are these kind of, at times, like long stretches where you're kind of forced to think about how everything's going, and you kind of get to sit in whatever kind of anxieties you have. The tone, while it's one-sided, there's a lot of emotional weight behind it. There's, a person who is physically ill running away from the police. There is the strained relationship between Sean and Karen that's put through in this episode. And I think the ending does do a pretty good job of tying a lot of things together, including some of the things from like episode 3, where it was just like, oh my god, he's so crazy and powerful and stuff. And it kind of also works because like Daniel's kind of forced into a situation where he has to be kind of skeptical of why people are being nice to him, specifically with the Reverend and stuff. And once again, it helps, bolster the relationship between Sean and Daniel. Yeah, so overall, I thought it was pretty good. So, of course, this is episode 4. We have got one more episode, which is episode 5. In the teaser, it shows essentially that the Diaz brothers are going to Mexico, which they have been kind of for the entire thing. As for, predictions, I'm pretty sure it's going to be set in Arizona. There's a couple of reasons. Karen originally lives in Arizona, which is why I thought that it might be in Arizona this time around. On top of that, all of the episodes have been in different states, and they've all been kind of neighboring states. So we had Washington to Oregon to California to Nevada in this episode. So I imagine that this one would have to be in Arizona because Arizona is the only one that borders Nevada and Mexico, except for California, but we've already had an episode there. And also, Puerto Lobos is directly south of the Arizona-Mexican border. I do find it interesting that it doesn't seem like it's going to be set in winter. I mean, it could be, I guess, because it could be Arizona and they might not have winter. Because, originally I thought all the episodes were kind of lining up with the release date. Maybe it's been thrown off. I don't know. It could just be, I don't know, it could be autumn or whatever. But either way, we are going to be finding out when that episode comes out. Yeah, so episode 5, the final episode of Life is Strange 2 is going to be coming out on December 3, where, all these questions are going to be answered. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to seeing how everything wraps up, playing through the full game, once or twice, kind of giving my full review of this. I mean, if nothing else, I just feel so lucky that I've been, I've got the opportunity to review this. It's such an insane thing to me that, a developer would trust me enough to, review a game like this. And I am so thankful, of course, for all you guys and gals and non-binary pals. I always feel weird when I say "and you guys," given that guys is in the intro thing. Anyway, all of you people, and possibly dogs. I don't know who listens to this. I'm very thankful that you have come with me on this journey. And if you would like to shout out the fact that you've come along with me on this journey, please like and comment, and please subscribe, so then you'll get, a heads up when I start let's playing and reviewing and stuff for Life is Strange 2 episode 5. Please support us on Patreon, and yeah, thank you all so much for watching. It means a lot. Thank you. Bye.